Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Alright/X/ this just happened to me last weekend. I'm somewhat of a commando. Bug out kit in a big Tupperware container. Military gear, guns out the yin-yang, ammo cache, the whole shebang. I'd been wanting to test out the efficiency of my gear for a while, so I decided to take a trip out to a family friend's property with nothing but the gear in my kit and my AR-15, Mossberg 500 pump action, and Glock 21. Biggest threat here is the occasional cougar. His property's pretty big, lots of untouched wilderness. Don't know the exact acreage, but I'd guess around 200. Woods are extensive. Anyway, I set up camp at an old campground my dad and his buddies used when they were my age. Clearing in the woods right at the top of a hill that leads down to a creek. Good squirrel hunting area. Anyway, here's my story. Weather just cooled down. Highs in the high 50s, lows in the low 40s. Cloudy with little no chance of rain. Perfect camping weather. Arranged the date to visit with Dad's friend, a super cool guy. Just tells me to be careful around electric fences. Show up as planned, park the truck in his driveway, gear up, and head out. Gear is mostly wearable. The only thing in hand is a spare ammo box. Both long guns around shoulders with slings, sleeping bag attached to backpack. Walk for about an hour, arrive at camp. Set down gear, get fire going, time to chill. First day and night and the second day are chill. Kill time shooting, hunting, taking in scenery, etc. I live in the city, so time in the wilderness is rare. Second night is where things get weird. Second day, dusk rolls around. Get a squirrel right before dark. Clean squirrel, have dinner. Time to chill again. Setting up a sleeping bag for bed, I suddenly hear rustling at the bottom of the hill. Definitely something pretty big. Owner doesn't wander around at night. First thought, cougar. Grab AR. Lock and load, head over to the top of the hill looking down. Don't see anything. Wait a few minutes. Nothing. Grab the flashlight out of the belt pouch, shine down to look, still nothing. About to brush it off, maybe it was a deer. Turn around to head back to the sleeping bag suddenly, more rustling. Bottom of hill again. Definitely not a deer. It would have run off. WTF, let me sleep, foul beast. Run back, rifle shouldered, flashlight in same hand as front of rifle. Don't see shit. Try calling out, maybe it is Dad's friend. Chad? Chad. See movement to my right. Shine light over towards it, someone is crouched down behind a bush. Chad, that you, Ed? Chad's dad, property touches Chad's. No response. If that's one of you fucking with me, stand up, I'm off safety, dick. He stands up. No one I recognize, average height, beat up clothes, probably some meth head. Get out of here, dude. This is private property. I'm well within my rights to put you down if you don't fuck off. He just stares at me with a stupid smile on his face and starts twitching. 5 seconds, dude. 4, 3. Meth head speaks. Chad, that you? Ed? WTF? 2. Fuck off. Last warning. Meth head pipes up again. Chad. It hits me. That's my voice. Nope.png. Open fire. Shoot to kill. Double tap. Fire 2 shots at meth head. Both hit center mass, chest area. Meth head backs up like he's been pushed by a child. Laughs, then screeches and darts out of sight. I back up towards camp, keeping my gun at the ready. Foot hits my sleeping bag. Drop the gun and prepare to haul ass. Throw on backpack, sling shotgun over shoulder. Dump canteen out on fire. Begin rolling up my sleeping bag when suddenly, last warning. Sounds about 20 feet ahead of me. Grab the flashlight, shine it forward. Guess who's back again. GIF. Grab my rifle, the thing does its cackle screech or whatever it was. No time to start aiming. Drop flashlight and bump fire the rest of my mag at the fucker. Grab flashlight, throw it in my pocket, grab an ammo box, and full-on sprint back to Chad's house through the woods in the middle of the night. It's late, about 10 p.m. at this point. I don't want to risk him being asleep and waking him up by knocking on the door. Sleep in the truck cabin, next morning. Chad asks what I'm doing sleeping in my truck. You should have came inside, etc., etc. Didn't want him to think I was insane. Told him I saw a cougar and didn't get a shot at it. and didn't want to risk it coming back. Advise him to not go out into his property at night or without a large weapon. Don't be ashamed, I would have done the same thing, I'll be careful, yada yada yada. Go back to the campground. Remnants of fire, half-burned logs, ashes, rocks strewn about. Sleeping bag ripped to shreds, that was brand new. Tears in the sleeping bag aren't clean, not done with a blade. Whatever got to it used its hands, paws, claws, teeth, or whatever else they may have had at their natural disposal. No paw prints around, so Cougar's out. Boot prints that don't match mine. Could be Chad's from before I ever showed up, but I didn't notice them before. Go downhill and sure enough, same prints are behind the bush where I first saw the meth head. No blood. I know I hit it. I saw it flinch, but no blood. No blood where I attempted at least to hit it with bump fire. Go back to Chad's, thank him, say goodbye, get in the truck, drive home. And that's the story of the first and last time I ever went camping alone. Still have no idea what I encountered.
Minnesota-Wisconsin border. This just happened to me. I'm copying this directly from the report I submitted for MUFON. Sorry if you're reading this, Jer. I don't mean to break protocol. While on a camping trip in St. Croix State Park, along the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, I saw an object cross the sky at immense speed, traveling north along the St. Croix River. The time of the sighting was approximately 10:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 7th, 2024. Taking a quick look up from the campfire, I saw what appeared to be the silhouette of an odd aircraft against the dark night sky. My initial impression was that it was a surprisingly large aircraft, maybe 3 or more times the size of a commercial airliner, and traveling at a blistering speed. I then noticed that, while appearing somewhat aerodynamic and plane-like, the features of the silhouette were not common to any kind of modern aircraft I'd ever seen. The nose and wings of the craft all came to a perfect point, and the shape was that of an equilateral triangle. It produced no noise that I could discern, and didn't have any kind of propulsion or emission that I could see. The object was featureless, and appeared as a dark silhouette at first. As it crossed the sky, 3 large circular lights became visible on the underside, and were brightly illuminated for a short time, maybe 2 or 3 seconds. The lights dimmed for a second, then became illuminated for another duration of 2 or 3 seconds before the object had crossed the horizon and exited view. The lights were circular, much larger than what I would consider typical of any anti-collision or navigation lights seen on a commercial aircraft, and produced only a bright white light as opposed to the red or green navigation lights. I could not accurately assess the size or distance of the object, but had an initial stunned impression at its apparent size and speed from my perspective. It did not seem right that a plane this apparently large and fast could silently cross the sky in a time frame of 5 or 6 seconds. The object traveled from south to north in a straight path across the sky, with no turns or erratic movement. It was a clear night, so I could not discern whether it was above or below cloud level. It did not produce any kind of contrail that I could see that night. Aside from the series of 3 flashing lights, the object appeared as a featureless silhouette against the clear night sky. I felt as though I saw something novel, but I can't really say what. It would not surprise me if there were some kind of flight testing going on in this area. This is Minnesota's largest state park, and it's bordered by 2 equally large state forests. I live close to the international airport in Minneapolis-St. Paul, and I'm quite familiar with the plane noise, which I think was what threw me off the most. The absence of any propulsion or emission noise from the object. I can't say how or why, but for its size and speed, that object really should have been screaming. Once the object disappeared from view over the forest canopy and horizon, I did not see it again.
A/X/, quite often there are stories on here about camping and weird things that happen out in the woods. I'm an avid camper, and I've never had any off experiences until a month ago. I wanted to share it with you guys. Be late November-ish. Weather is really nice, not too hot, not too cold. Decide to go camping and fishing. Find a decent park a few hours away in Georgia. Decide to invite a friend. Friend is Mark. Cool guy, homebrews, very perceptive and intelligent, but not the outdoorsy type. Convince him to come along because I don't want to go alone and everyone else is busy. Tell him maybe we'll find some mushrooms out in the wild. We didn't, but it got him out. Pretty much everything goes normal. Get there, get a camp set up, go fishing for dinner. Around 5 or 6 p.m., getting dimmer and cooler out, start a fire and start cooking. This is where things go kinda weird. An old man with a backpack comes out of the woods. He's dirty as hell. Looks like he just got out of a coal mine. Comes up to us, asks what we're up to. Says he's been hiking all day. Asks to spend the night with us since he's beat and we already have fire going. Mark is kind of weary. I convinced him to let the man stay. He's old and it's gonna get dark soon. Old man says his name is Luke, but everyone calls him Scratch. We spent the night talking, mostly Luke. He has an endless number of stories from his life to tell. He has a way of speaking that sort of enthralls you, like you just kind of zone out and only hear him. No idea how long this goes on for. Eventually hear a crackle from the woods. Luke says it is likely a coyote or a fox. Every now and then some other weird noise will come out of the woods. Keeps getting closer. Mark is getting upset, his gut's telling him something is wrong. Luke keeps telling us it's fine. Eventually, whatever it was reaches our camp. Hear rustling in the bushes. God-awful smell hits us. It's like diarrhea, booze, and sulfur mixed together. Cackling intensifies. Can't make out what it is. Luke walks to the edge of the camp in its direction. Out of nowhere, in a big booming voice, he tells it to leave and never come back. Hear running, no more cackling. Smell leaves soon after. He sits down and tells us that everything under the sun fears a bigger predator. We've been up all night. When the sun starts to rise, Luke goes to leave. Goes to shake our hands. Mark won't. I shake his hand and wish him well. Everything else is normal till we get home. Ever since, things have been shit for Mark, just terrible luck. Meanwhile, I've had amazing luck. Things like finding a $100 bill, life is improving, etc. I don't know, it was a weird experience. Not necessarily paranormal, but it was weird. Just figured I'd share it with you. Don't know what to make of it. Maybe there isn't anything to make of it. Have a good one /x/.
I wanted to tell someone about what happened to me. It's not that people don't believe me, but they think that my mind might have partially snapped from stress. But I know what happened, and I know how it happened to me. Your best friend doesn't just shoot you in the head and leave you for dead. Something happened, and I don't necessarily expect anyone to believe me. I just kind of want to get this off my chest. So, a while ago, I went out on a camping hunting expedition with a few of my buddies. We live in the middle of nowhere, so you basically just have to step off your back porch and you're camping. But we loaded up a few packs of beer, some firewood, blankets, provisions, and whatnot, and headed out via ATVs. This was in the end of May, when the weather got really hot, but the ground was still partially soggy, so we were all muddy when we got to my friend's, we'll call him Josh, campsite. It's basically not much more than a shack in the woods where we come to hang out every once in a while. We got there around 6 or 7 at night and struck up a fire. We weren't really going to hunt anything, but it was an excuse to bring guns and sometimes shoot things. Anyway, about the time we had settled down and made a meal on the fire was when we noticed we weren't alone in the woods. Everyone still agrees on this part. We thought we saw a girl in the forest. Cute thing, short with curly hair, just kind of standing there, staring. Friend 3, Corey, called out to her, said hello, what was she doing there, and could we help her? Honestly, I think Corey was the nicest of the bunch, including me. But the girl didn't say anything. She just kept standing, about 20 feet away, staring. Then we all started realizing something was really wrong. She had blood on her clothes, and she looked like she had a compression bandage on her neck. I finally mentioned she might be hurt, and Josh stood up to go over to her when she turned and ran further into the woods. We weren't in love with the idea of being in the woods with a potentially crazy, murderous girl, or whatever was crazy, murderous, and was hunting her. Josh called in the incident into his dad. We loaded up a few of the shotguns and went back to our business. This is where the details start getting foggy. Around 9 o'clock, we were all startled by this deep, loud growling coming from just past the light cast by our fire and electric lanterns. It was like an angry dog, but much bigger. We all jumped like a bunch of wusses and grabbed a shotgun each, which was pretty stupid, considering the girl we saw earlier was probably still out in the woods. None of us agrees on what happened next, but I heard this high, garbled cackle after the growl. Josh swears up and down it was someone talking, and they were saying, "more fun." But I don't have much faith in what he thinks, which you may understand why in a while. Corey decided we should all go into the cabin, and we all promptly booked it inside, latching the door and making sure the windows were locked. It was maybe a few minutes after that. We hadn't even calmed down yet, when we saw something lurch into the campsite. I use the word lurch because I can't think of any other adequate word to describe how it moved. A kind of jittery, shuffling movement. It looked like a person, but I know it wasn't. The way it moved was just all wrong. It picked up a long, roasting fork we'd been using for hot dogs and dropped it into the fire, snuffled around the half-eaten plates of food we had left outside, and then spotted the cabin. It looked like a youngish man, maybe in his 30s, wearing a plaid overshirt and ripped-up jeans. It scuttled kind of excitedly up to the door and let out a high, piping little sound. "Hey guys, will you let me in? It's cold outside." At this point, Corey had started crying and was hugging his knees to his chest. Josh was screaming at the thing to leave, or we'd shoot and trying to call his dad, and I was just staring at the thing through the window. The thing noticed me staring and got the strangest grin on its face. "Buck, help me!" it squealed, inching up to the window. I don't really know what happened next. Josh tells me the guy, I really shouldn't call him an it, just kind of melted back into the shadows around the cabin. We took an inventory of the house, checked the second-floor loft, and made sure everything was secured up top, and tried to reach the outside world. As you can guess, the middle of the woods doesn't have great reception, but it does have some. Josh finally got through to his dad and told him the situation. Josh's dad told us to stay put and not to fire any guns unless it was absolutely necessary. I don't know whether or not that was the best advice to give, but I could just be bitter. Anyway, about another half hour passed while we waited for Josh's dad to come and get us. He wasn't too worried about the whole thing. He probably figured it was just some homeless dude we stirred up. But around then, we heard a loud thump on the roof. Actually, a couple of loud bangs on the roof, like someone was crawling across the top, and then a few bangs on the sun window of all things. Josh crept over so he could see up into the window of the loft and shrank back. The guy was up there, pressed against the glass, and we hadn't locked the window. We weren't sure if he could actually figure out how to open the window from the outside, given the guy's mental state, but we weren't going to take any chances. After some arguing, I decided to go. Corey had basically lost it, and could hardly stand, much less climb up to the loft to lock a window. Josh said he would cover me in case the guy managed to break in, but I think he was probably scared too. But I climbed up, the dumbass that I am. I could only see the vague outline of the man pressed against the glass. When he spotted me climbing, he banged on the glass again. It freaked me out, not going to lie. I don't even know how I managed to get to the top of the ladder, aside from sheer adrenaline. When I got up to the top, I still couldn't see the face, despite how close up I was. I could literally reach out and touch the glass where the man's cheek would have been. It took all I had to just reach out and flip the lock, and by then it had been too late. The guy had been pressing so hard on the glass he busted clean through. I was standing there, arm out like a fool one minute, and the next there was this man falling on top of me, gnashing his teeth at my neck. I have no idea how it actually happened. Josh did take the shot, but keep in mind, firing a shotgun in an enclosed area with hollow point slugs is pretty fucking lethal. I felt this hot, searing above my right ear, and then came the pain. I don't know if any of it had gotten him, as he kept writhing and chomping his jaws like a maniac. I could hear Josh and Corey screaming below me, but all I could concentrate on was not getting chewed on. I had no other weapons on me aside from my hands, which were occupied in holding back the guy's face. I heard another boom from a shotgun, and the guy on top of me twitched and shrieked. He scuttled off me and leaped up through the window he had busted. This wasn't an entirely impossible feat. Being reasonably athletic, I could do it myself if I had jumped off the bed under the window, grabbed the roof, and pulled. The guy could have been on drugs, or maybe he just wasn't a person at all. In any case, I passed out, and when I came to, I was already in an ambulance, getting sent downstate for intensive care. Josh has apologized multiple times since he shot me. Corey has been avoiding me since it happened. None of us has gone back to the woods to the campsite, but Josh's dad verified the damage. No sign of the girl had ever been found, and I've not seen anyone like her since. Thanks for listening, guys. I've wanted to tell this to someone since it happened. People believe something happened that night. I did get shot after all, but they think it was some large, wild animal. Even Josh has convinced himself that it had maybe been a puma or something, saying that the weird syllabic sounds it had made were characteristic of mountain lions. I know what I saw, and I know what happened to me.
Be me, 19, going for a night walk. Live on the edge of Chicago's suburbia, a walk away from a massive forest preserve. Parents on vacation. No friends want to do anything ever, so decide to camp out for the night, just for fun, right? Run home and get my sleeping bag, a knife, a case of age-appropriate beverage, a garbage bag, and some food. Walk into the woods for about an hour, stop because I hear some yotes in the distance and don't want to go too close. Eventually, I hear one yelp in pain. Too drunk to walk home. Sitting there in my sleeping bag underneath a log in a little area I built for myself to cocoon in for the night, listening to Something Brutalized This Coyote. Silence.jpg. Absolute silence.jpg. No, it's not a bear because I would have heard it make its bear noises, and there aren't really bears in the area I live at. All of a sudden I hear some screech, like a caribou almost, but those don't live near me either. Too wasted to wander home, forced to try and wait it out until the morning. Hear something walking around. Hear someone. Anon. WTF Doti JPG. I'm alone in these woods. It's January, and I don't have a fire to illuminate my little spot. With nothing to do, all I could really do is just huddle in my bag and hope it doesn't decide to hurt me. Some time passes, and I sober up enough to walk home. Phone dead, so no flashlight. Using the reflection of the half-moon's light on the snow, I somehow managed to see enough to waddle home with my stuff. The entire time I can hear it calling my name, or breaking twigs behind me. An hour or so later, I exit the woods. I don't really know what I encountered out there, but I know I'm not going out there at night alone ever again.
This is going to be a long post, but I need all the background information and details of everything in order to convey properly what I need to get across. There was a camp I attended every summer when I was younger. It was set back of the woods, right on the outskirts of a state park. I loved the camp and always went back year after year, usually twice a year, once for a youth camp and once for a family camp. But something strange happened one year that I thought was a distant memory, but recent events have brought it crashing back to the forefront of my mind. When I was 9, I was there for the family camp. At the southernmost part of the grounds were blackberry bushes that I always liked to eat from. One day I went and started eating right off the bushes like I normally did. After a few minutes I went to exit the bushes when I heard a noise behind me. Turning around and not seeing anything, I started continuing out of the bushes when I clearly heard a rustling in the foliage directly behind where I was. I turned around and was frozen in fear, knowing I should get out of there but couldn't move. Suddenly, something small and fuzzy popped its head through the underbrush and looked right at me. Having no idea what I was looking at, I ran in fear. The thing actually gave chase, and I knew it was following me because I could hear it the entire way as I ran back toward the dining hall at the center of the camp. When I got back to the small parking lot down the hill from the building, I turned around, and it was gone. I told my dad, mom, and pretty much anybody who would listen, but they all chalked it up to me being a 9-year-old with an active imagination, even some playing the whole, "Oh, it was a snipe, do you want to go snipe hunting?" card. I felt like people were not taking me seriously the rest of the time I was there. After camp was over, I had a super vivid dream that I was back in the berry patch. Only now there were 2 bears there. One was black and in the position where this creature was, and the other was similar to a panda but bigger and was holding me. I knew the white and black one was trying to protect me while the black one was trying to harm me. The dream went down the exact way it did in real life, only when I ran. The white bear gave me my escape. Again, I told my dad, and he said things along the lines of, "It was just a dream. There's no pandas here in America. Black bears won't bother you," etc. 2 years later, I saw the creature again. this time with my mom and an older friend of ours. It was then we realized it was a baby fox. I thought it was so weird, though, because I had never seen an adult fox on the campground. We left it alone, and it just vanished on us. Over the next few years, I would always see an individual baby fox here or there at the camp, but never an adult fox, and never more than one kit at a time, and it always looked like the picture provided. It was strange. Eventually, after I became an adult, I found out they had removed the berry bushes, and although I returned to the camp several times, never saw another fox afterward. Years later, I discovered the missing 411 phenomenon and started looking into the interesting disappearances of these people. Having always had a fascination with the strange and paranormal, this was right up my alley. Even stranger still was the Fae theory that had been kicked around online. This missing Fae 11 theory really does explain 99.5% of all these cases, and even if I don't actually believe in such a thing as fairies, I always find this stories fascinating. I was looking at the list of a bunch of similarities these cases had in common. Young men and boys, European, usually Germanic in descent, come visiting around the forest like national parks, boulder fields, berry bushes. Oh. My mind went into overdrive when that came together. I immediately began piecing the puzzle together from 24 years ago. I was around a boy of Germanic descent. Grandmothers on both sides were Germanic, outside a state park in a berry bush. I saw a fox kit, but never an adult fox for years. Every time it looked the same as well, no matter how long it was between sightings. And to top it all off, if it was just me, something strange happened at the camp, I would just say that was weird and move on. But there was another story about 7 years after mine. I was still at the camp, this time during youth camp. A 12-year-old just vanished from his team in the middle of a game. He was there one moment and gone a few minutes later. Completely vanished. Us campers were rounded up and gathered in a building as they looked for the camper. He was eventually found, but 3 miles away from the camp on the side of the road, saying how he really didn't know how he got there. He just said something about going to visit a grandfather, but he was from the city. His grandfather didn't live anywhere around the camp, and if he was going to town, he was found completely in the wrong direction. The kid couldn't explain how he ended up there, though. He was confused about the whole issue. I just find it interesting that where he vanished was within a rock-throwing distance of the berry patch. So here I am wondering, years ago, could it be possible that I was almost Fae abducted? Or am I overthrowing this and just jumping to conclusions?
Be me, going camping alone in the woods. Don't judge me, I grew up in these woods. Lots of people are talking about this monster that's been scaring the piss out of campers for months. Think nothing of it. Go camping as planned. Sleeping on my bedroll. Wake up to a really strong copper smell. The forest is quiet. See a silhouette on the edge of camp, looks like someone wearing a ghillie suit with gigantic deer horns. It's like 9 feet tall and it's making this weird rasping noise. Oh shit, .jpg. Just get up and start running, leave my shit. Look back. Whatever the hell it is doubled over laughing. Realize later it's some asshole screwing with me, but for now too scared to stop. The copper smell intensifies suddenly. I trip and fall on my face. Look up, there's another ghillie suit looking thing a few yards away from me. I know it's real somehow. Jackass in the fake suit isn't laughing anymore. What are you doing, skinwalkers? These are my woods. Smell of dirt fills the air, overpowers the copper smell. Look over to the sound of the voice. It's a fucking demonic looking night thing. Pic-related doesn't really describe it, but it's the closest I could find. Start wondering what the hell I did to deserve being in the middle of this fucking supernatural gang war. The ghillie suit thing, the real one, turns to face the night thing, stands still for a few seconds, begins to walk away. I get up and started running again. Here, what, you're not leaving with your friend? You don't think you can win, do you? Terrified wailing from the fake ghillie suit thing. Oh, you're not a skinwalker at all. Wailing turns into full-on screaming, the likes of which I have not heard before or since then as I reach the edge of the woods. Get to my house. I live right nearby, thank God. And lock fucking everything. My window is open and I can hear this feminine voice screaming in pain, begging for mercy, carrying on. slowly, quietly close and lock my window, shaking uncontrollably. Come back from summer break and this really pretty red-headed chick is reported missing from my school. A few people are mentioning that she had a hobby of dressing up like a monster and scaring campers. She was always doing shit like this, so it's not unbelievable. Dots connect. I realized she was playing a prank on me and I left her to the mercy of whatever that thing was. Hold me/X/.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.